work for a couple of years. I worked for an actual union, the grad student union, for a couple of years. Learned a lot.
Yeah, man, you were in the workers' movement for a little bit.
Yeah, I was in the shit.
You were, man. I remember you were like, "Yeah, man, I gotta go to this fucking protest," and I was like, "What?" I was like, man, he went up to fucking Iowa, and he was just like, "Fucking, I'm here, baby." And I get it. I'm here now too, so it's fine. But like,
yeah.
It was just like kind of shocking to be like, oh, okay, cool.
Well, yeah, because I'm sort of a background kind of guy. I'm not very confrontational. And I was a background guy for them too. Like I did a lot of their IT tech stuff. I wasn't like, I wasn't at the negotiating table with the Board of Regents going like, no, health insurance.
You will give us 12 parking spaces or no. I was going to say no parking spaces, but like that you would actually lose.
Yeah, that's a bad option.
So it's probably better if I'm glad that I wasn't there for sure. Also, it'd be weird if I were. They'd be like, what is your friend doing here? And you're like, I tell him not to come. I don't know.
He's confrontational as fuck. I thought he'd be a good person to sit in. I thought if I put him in a union T-shirt, you guys wouldn't notice.
But you did, and I apologize.
Yeah, that one's on me, guys.
That's my bad. Speaking of confrontations, I'll take us back to a story in high school that, everyone wants to hear about our high school stories. But I think there's some sort of message here. Our friend, I don't know if we should say we'd say everyone else's name. Our friend Brandon, he was a punk rock in high school, and he didn't want to say the pledge. And he didn't one morning, and like his teacher was like, I guess he didn't stand up either. And his teacher was like, this is kind of sticking it to the man. His teacher was like, okay, we'll go to the principal. And like he got like suspended. Because he was like, I'm not fucking doing it. You guys can't fucking make me do it. And I don't know if you were with me. I don't know how like serious you were about this, but I was like, fuck that. And we were looking at like textbooks and like court cases because we were like, no, they cannot do that. They cannot make you say the pledge.
I remember I actually went to my honors English teacher and got her to pull some like school related documentation that we used, to try and help him.
And like eventually he was like, I don't really care. Being suspended is awesome. So he's like, I don't have to go to school, so it's cool. But but I don't know if you remember, but I was still pissed about the whole thing. Yeah. So much so that I stopped saying the pledge. Like I didn't like sit down. But there was a moment where I had with one of my teachers, and she said, I was sitting down, and she said, you have to stand up. And I said, no, I don't. And she was like, you have to stand up or I'll send you to the principal. I was like, then you need to go ahead and send me to the principal because I don't have to. She said, you have to stand up and say the pledge. That's what it was. She said, you have to stand up and say the pledge or you're going to get sent to the principal. And I said, I am not standing up to say the pledge. And she was like, I need to talk to you outside. And we talked, she took me outside. And this was like the first time a teacher was ever like fucking real with me. She was like, I don't care if you don't say the pledge, but I need you to stand up. And I was like, all right, that's fucking fair. I didn't say it was fucking fair. I wish I should. Right. I wish I had. But, I was like, all right, that's fair. But I'm not fucking saying the pledge. And she was like, fine. Like, she like compromised with me essentially. And I was like, all right, fine. I'm not going to say the fucking pledge, but I'll fucking stand up. So I did. Right. I was going to tie this in somehow, but now I can't remember. I'm sorry. I lost it, everyone.
I mean, you were sticking it to the man.
We were sticking it to the man. Oh, no, that came back in Texas. They say two pledges. They say the state pledge and the American pledge.
Oh, we didn't say the state
we
pledge.
Didn't say that. That was like a new thing.
Gross.
Well, yeah, I guess, but also at the same time, like, technically the states started the federal government, not the other way around. Like, in theory, shouldn't the states be like the guiding, like, I'm not saying I subscribe to this, but like someone like Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, said something about that like a couple of weeks ago. He was like, we invented the federal government. The federal government didn't invent the states. Like,
right.
And I've forgotten about that really. Like, I just kind of forgotten that aspect of it because it's been the federal government for so long,
Well, right. And I feel like that debate kind of got settled in something called the Civil War.
That's fair. That's absolutely true. But at the same time, like, it's not like they redid the Constitution. That was still the same Constitution that brought them together in the first place. I'm not saying I'm like, secede, all you states secede, but like, it's just an interesting, like, oh yeah, I guess that is kind of true. But my whole point was, I told my kids, I was like, if you don't ever want to say the pledge, let your boy know. I was like, we'll be talking to you goddamn like teachers, because like that's not your jam. And if it is your jam, keep saying it. I was like, do whatever you want to do. I was like, but if you don't want to, we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
And me saying gross to the Texas pledge is just gross to pledges in general, like that they've doubled the amount of pledging that kids are doing.
100%.
Yeah, 100% more pledging. I'm not I don't know. There's just something so weird. And as I get older, like it seems weirder and weirder to me about putting my hand on my heart and declaring loyalty to a flag.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is that you pledge loyalty to like the country itself, and the flag is just a symbol. But even that, it's like,
I don't know.
It's hard right now.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't try to take it away from anybody, but I have felt ambivalent about it for a long time. Not because I'm not a patriot, but because I am.
Yeah, no, because like if you think about it, the whole point that we're over here, it was like, nah, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me to. You know, it was Rage Against the Machine that actually founded America. Most people don't know that, but.
I thought, you know, there was another stick it to the man story that you could tell. I wasn't there for it, but I remember hearing about it with our buddy Brent.
Oh,
Cop was harassing him.
This is a good story, I think, to probably end on, because it's a funny story. And then we can recap what we learned tonight in the Science Says segment. There's no science. we just called it that.
Science Says segment. Got it.
Anyway, this was when I was young in punk rock. I was also in high school. But this had already, like, the Pledge of Allegiance thing had already happened. So I was like, I was ready for, like, a confrontation of some sort. And he had an old Datsun. Actually, Brent, who actually passed away a year ago. So
R.I.P. Oh, that's right, he did.
Heaven needed an angel. Anyway, so he had like an old Datsun that he had been working on over the weekends over the summer, and it finally got into like the point where it was running. But it had really bad tires, and but I had a super fucking engine that would it had a lot of like power to it. So we were turning into the gas station, and his wheels, because he went like quickly through the break in the cars, and his tires squealed, and we pulled up and got gas, and then this cop comes roaring in behind us, and we're both like standing outside the car, and I'm like looking around because I've never really had any cop roll up on me at this point, and I'm like, what? What's up? They were like, or the cop was like, he was talking to Brent. He was like, your tires accelerated. Why was the excessive acceleration there? And Brent was like, Brent was punk rock too, but he was like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I just got the car out of the garage. Like, I just got it up and running. Like, I don't have enough money yet to get tires. Really laying on that whole teenage, like, man, this is my first car. Like,
right.
And Brent's wearing a leather jacket, I might add, and I've got like my punk rock shit on too, and like we both got like fucking spiky hair, and like he's like looking at Brent, and he's like, well, I could give you a ticket for that. And then he like looks over at Brent's car, and he's like, doesn't see a license plate, and in Texas you have to have a front license plate. And he goes, you don't have a front license plate either. And at that point, I was like, that guy doesn't. You gonna go give him a ticket too? And he looked, I'll never forget the look the cop gave me when I said that. And he was like, I am talking to him. And I was like, I understand that, but if you give him a ticket, you better go give him a ticket. Brent, Brent looked at me like, I think he thought we were going to get like put in jail or something like that if I kept like jaw jacking with it. I was hot though. I was ready to go. I was like, no, man, this injustice will not stand. I was like, you will not give my friend a ticket and let all these other motherfuckers off. But the look Britton gave me essentially was like, go, get out of here. Let me take care of this. And I was like, okay. But as I was walking away, like, I was like, can I go, officer? I was like, I need to go get some, something from inside the store. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And so I left. But as I'm walking away, I'm like, oh my God, another car that doesn't have one. Holy shit, another one over here. And Like the entire way, like people in the parking lot were probably like, "What the fuck is this guy yelling about?" But it was a fun it was a fun day. I enjoyed that story, and not because like I wanted to be an asshole to that cop, but because that cop was an asshole to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I was like, "What the? Now you got beef, motherfucker! Like I don't care that you got.
Now we got bad blood.
Yeah, right, yeah, exactly. I went Taylor Swift on him before Taylor Swift was even a thing.
Right.
When Taylor Swift was still in fucking second grade.
So, can I piggyback on that story with another? Speaking of authority figures like pulling in behind cars.
Yes.
Just one more high school story before we wrap it up.
Yes.
You'll probably remember.
I probably remember. Yes.
So when we were seniors in high school, you would always give me and our friend Sergio rides to and from school. And we got, since we were seniors, we had early dismissal, so we left at lunch. And one day, because we're kids and kids are just silly, we decided we were going to run to your car. Like we were going to run like the devil was after us. And so we did. Like we fucking bolted across the parking lot. We were running for our lives. And then we
probably talking shit the whole way too. Like probably yelling at each other the whole way.
Yeah, yeah. And we hop into your car, and as soon as we hop in, the security guard, golf cart, pulls in and blocks you from leaving. And so we get out of the car, and she's obviously like, okay, what's up? And so we show her our student IDs to prove that we're seniors and we can leave. And as she gets mine, she looks at it, looks at me, looks at it again, looks at me and goes, "This isn't you." Sergio leans out of the car and says, "I've never seen this guy before in my life." I didn't have a driver's license. That was the only ID I had. She ended up letting us go, but
I think I probably said like, "No, that's him. We're good." Like he was like, "Okay, fine." But yeah, Sergio being like, I don't remember what I did. Maybe you were just like, "No, it's fucking me," and she was like, "All right, fine."
I probably started to tear up, and she was like, "Oh, Jesus, okay."
I'll give him his ID. Get him the fuck out of here. So yeah, those were some fun times. Remember the time we started a riot?
Oh shit! Yeah, that's why we couldn't have fun at pep rallies anymore.
We probably told this story on the old Team Hurricane, but for the 4 friends that we made after high school, we used to have pep rallies, and we were like, "Nah, we don't really want to do that." And there were a lot of kids that were like, "Nah, we're good." Like mostly the fucking metal kids and the fucking stoners and the fucking hippies and the people that were like, "Yeah, we're not into school, man, we're good." And we were the people who were like, we like school, but we don't really like the sport aspect of it, so we're just gonna chill out in the gym or in the cafeteria with everyone.
Right.
And it was probably like a motley crew of like assorted like groups and people and like different like kinds of like subgroups that maybe didn't necessarily always hang out, but now we were in this relatively enclosed space because while the cafeteria was big, it wasn't like huge by any means.
No, yeah.
And this was happened at the end of the day.
On a Friday. And so we're there, and it's, it's nice. I think it was in the spring because it was a nice day. No, I guess it was in the fall. It had to have been in the fall. But it was still a nice day. And so people were like, "Let's get the fuck out of this place. Let's move," I don't know who suggested it or how it started, but like we got up. What we decided to do was we wanted to see, I forget whose idea it was, but we wanted to see if we went and stood by the door, if other people would come stand by the door too, because people would always get up and go stand by the door when it was getting close to 2:45, which is when school was out.
I think we did it pretty early, didn't we?
We did it like 20 minutes early just because we thought it would be funny. To get everybody to stand up, just social experiment. Like we didn't mean any harm whatsoever.
Right. We didn't intend to start a riot.
And then go ahead.
Well, then we were like, then people started lining up behind us.
Yep.
And then like a lot of people started lining up behind us. And remember, it's still like at this point, probably like 10 minutes before we're supposed to leave. But I think we go sit down.
Yeah.
Like we're like, we did it.